What's up, everyone? Manar Adli here, founder and director of MintPress News. Charlie Kirk's assassination has dominated the headlines around the world, and both media and politicians are climbing over themselves to denounce the shooter and claiming there's no room in this country for political violence. Yet, just days ago, Israel assassinated a foreign head of state, killing Prime Minister Ahmad Ghalib Nasser al-Rahawi of Yemen. Now, you would be forgiven not to have heard about this news because it was barely a blip on the radar within Western corporate media. In fact, the far-right influencer's killing generated probably 100 times the coverage of the assassination of a foreign head of state. MSNBC went an entire year without even mentioning Yemen, a country that has been ravaged by a US-backed Saudi bombing campaign, illegal siege, and famine crisis that has hit 23 million people. But this media blackout is on purpose. Since November of 2023, Yemen has enacted the Red Sea Blockade, stopping Israeli and allied vessels from entering the shipping channel in an effort to end the genocide in Gaza. Now, this has earned them the label, of course, of terrorists across much of corporate media who, when they discuss Yemen and its ruling coalition, Ansar Allah, constantly remind us that they are Iran-backed or Shia militias, as if Iranians or Shia lives don't matter. But here's why Yemen has been targeted with assassinations and why the media try to delegitimize them. Yemen's Red Sea blockade to pressure Israel to end its genocide in Gaza has completely devastated Israel's economy and hit its billionaire ruling class where it hurts. First, one of the ships that Yemen seized was the Galaxy Leader, owned by Israeli billionaire Abraham Ungar, a close ally of the Likud party. Now, Israeli ships like these are accused of carrying weapons to smuggle into Iran for targeted assassinations and sabotage. I did an entire report and documentary on this very subject on the Galaxy Leader and its seizure for MintPress News, so make sure to check it out on our YouTube channel and on our website. Now, the success of the Red Sea blockade doesn't even stop there. It has already devastated Israel's economy, collapsing revenue of Israel's Eilat port by 80%. That is massive. And if you're wondering why Israel hasn't targeted other leaders in the region, it's because the Gulf monarchies and Egypt are all helping Israel bypass Yemen's blockade, something we've been reporting on for the last 2 years. So only Yemen has made Israel pay a very heavy economic price for its genocide in Gaza. And that's why they've been singled out with bombings and assassinations. New Israeli airstrikes against Yemen just in the last 3 days have killed dozens of people, including 20 journalists, and injured hundreds more. So what does this all mean for the region, and what are we hearing on the ground from other people there? To answer these questions and more, I'm joined by Abdul Latif Al-Washali. He is an independent Yemeni journalist. But before we get into that interview, I just want to make a special announcement that MintPress News is facing a financial crisis. After 14 years of providing fearless, independent, investigative journalism that holds the military industrial accountable, we're now at risk of shutting down. We have been banned from PayPal, algorithmically blacklisted from Google, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, and have had our main line of funding now cut off. And that's why we're asking you, our viewers and readers, the lifeblood of our organization who've been with us for 14 years, to support MintPress News as we continue to challenge and scrutinize empire, imperialism, and the military-industrial complex. We have a campaign right now on Indiegogo, and I hope that you will join us today. All right, back to Yemen. Abdul Latif Al-Washali, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being patient for my very long introduction. So we have seen a new intensity to the Israeli strikes on Yemen. What is the mood like inside of the country?
This escalation is unmistakable. Israel may have believed that its attacks will intimidate the Yemeni people, will destabilize Yemen. But the opposite has happened. The Yemenis today are more insistent than ever. They insist to stand with the Palestinian people despite all the Israeli crimes committed against the Yemeni people. Today, Yemenis, when they go to the streets, when they stand with Palestine, when they even join the Yemeni armed forces for armed struggle, they are more powerful than ever. The attacks did the opposite to the Yemeni people. Yemenis are not afraid. They will keep supporting the Palestinian people. We have maybe tens of people, dozens of people, and the recent crime against Yemenis here in the capital Sana'a. But the Friday after that, maybe it was the largest demonstration when tens of thousands of Yemenis went to the streets, and they said that they will keep supporting Palestine even if the Israeli entity keep killing the Yemeni people. The Yemeni blood is now mixed with the Palestinian blood.
And only 2 weeks ago, Israel assassinated Prime Minister Ahmad, Ghalib, Nasser al-Rahawi. To what extent did this shock the country? I mean, not only he was killed, but his cabinet was killed as well. How has the government responded to losing its figurehead?
Yeah, it was a shock for the Yemeni people. On August 28, 2025, the Prime Minister Ahmad Ghalib al-Rahawi and several cabinet ministers were killed in an Israeli strike against Sana'a. It was a shock for the Yemeni people, but at the same time, it was a clear message from Israel that everyone now is targeted. It's not just a war against Gaza or against Yemen, it's a war against the entire region. So such attack and such a crime should unite the entire Arab world to stand against the Israeli entity. They should be united, to stand against these crimes, these violations. The Prime Minister and the ministers were civilians, just like me and everyone else here in the country, and they were targeted. So it was a clear violation of international law, and it was a clear message for the entire region that everyone is targeted. Today, the Israeli strikes are against Yemen. Tomorrow, they will be against other countries in the region. So it was a clear message. This attack may have pushed the country to the point of near collapse, but Yemenis moved on. They are back in their government. They are back in the Yemeni armed forces after the attack. Sayyid Mohammed Miftah, the deputy prime minister who survived, he went out and said that they will not stop supporting Palestine. This attack has united the Yemenis more than ever, and they will not stop providing Yemenis essential services. And I believe that the attack has not weakened the Yemeni people, and instead it has strengthened the will of the Yemeni people in supporting Palestine.
Now, just 3 days ago, the most recent Israeli airstrikes also targeted Yemeni media outlets, killing a number of journalists. What can you tell us about the incident? The media here have barely reported on it at all.
On September 10th, 2025, an Israeli strike hit the Modal Guidance Building alongside 26 September Journal. There were several airstrikes. It's a very populated area. It's a very crowded area. It's downtown. There is a bus stop near to this building. I was there, I believe 15 minutes before the attack. I walk by that street every single day. All the people were there. It was a crowded day, even more. And unfortunately, the attack happened. Dozens of people were killed. I believe until the moment there are 45 people and over 150 injured. All of them are civilians, passers-by, people who were just, taking the bus to go to some place. Some of them I knew. One of them was a journalist called Ablaziz A'sheikh. He was a dear friend. He was just discussing his master's degree, but he was killed in this strike. This place is open. Everyone knows the Modal Guidance Building. So it's impossible for the leaders, for the Houthi leaders, the Houthi figures to be there at the moment of the attack. They will never go to that place. This place is full of civilians only, and also the houses near to the Modal Guidance Building were hit. Their houses full of civilians, of people. Al-Dhamadi, they were killed. I believe 15 people of Al-Dhamadi, they were killed in this attack. So it was a clear crime, a clear violation of international law. It was a massive crime, one of the deadliest attacks of Israel against Yemen. But unfortunately, until the moment, we've not seen anyone condemning this attack. Even the media outlet did not report it, as you mentioned. No one. They are turning a blind eye to the Israeli crimes in Yemen. And we are still wondering why. Why is this happening? Israel is killing dozens of civilians in Yemen and no one is reporting that. But I believe that is not the problem for the Yemeni people. They will keep standing with Palestine. And we've seen people who survived the attack. They were full of dust saying that this attack will not stop them from supporting Palestine. And they feel like they're now part of Gaza more than ever.
The Red Sea blockade has completely devastated Israel's economy, with the Eilat port filing for bankruptcy and losing about 80% of its revenue. Does Yemen see its blockade as having an impact to make a difference for the people of Gaza? And in what other ways is this affecting Israel?
The Red Sea blockade has shaken the foundation of Israeli economy. You know, Israel depends on shipping in its economy, and Yemenis know that, and they have taken the advantage of shoring the Red Sea. The Yemeni armed forces have attacked or seized Israeli-linked vessels. Galaxy Leader was seized, and other ships were attacked and drowned in Yemeni attacks. Eilat port has declared its bankruptcy. They have stopped operating. They have stopped receiving any ships and any merchandise. They do nothing at the moment. So Yemenis have succeeded in blocking Israeli shipping routes. The Yemeni attacks and the Yemeni army has been attacking and using their new developed and locally, domestically developed weapons in their attacks, and this has surprised not only the United States or Israel, it has surprised the entire world. Yemen has entered in a direct battle with the US and Israel, and the US administration has entirely failed to stop the Yemeni attacks against the Israeli vessels. Otherwise, or I believe that instead, the Yemeni army has escalated its attacks in that period of time when the US was trying or attempting to stop the Yemenis from attacking these attacks. So, the other impact was that the insurance, the rates of insurance has doubled, tripled, quadrupled. Yemenis have succeeded in blocking and impacting the Israeli economy. So they know how to hurt the Israeli enemy. They know how to do that, and they have succeeded. And I believe that the country here, Yemen, was in a war with Saudi Arabia for a long time, 10 years or more, but they have never used the card of the Red Sea. They have never attacked anyone in the Red Sea. For 10 years, they are the Saudi Arabia, with backing from Washington and even Israel, they are waging a war against the country, blocking the country, starving the Yemeni people. But the leadership here did not use the card of the Red Sea. They did never attack even Israeli-linked vessels in that period of time. But when it comes to Palestine, when it comes to a direct war, a direct genocide being impacted or implemented from Israel against our people in Palestine, the Yemeni leadership decided now to take the advantage of shoring the Red Sea, to attack Israeli-linked vessels, to hurt the Israeli enemy for the sake of saving our people in Palestine.
The media loves to talk about Yemen through a sectarian lens to dehumanize the people there. And while Yemen has been the target of sectarianism by the United States, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, tell me more about how the people of Yemen have united and even Saudi-aligned forces putting down their arms to join Ansarullah to support Gaza.
Every Friday, thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of Yemenis, they gather in several cities and squares to say we will stand with Palestine. In Sana'a, Dhamar, Hajjah, Hudaydah, in many cities, they gather in the streets, they go to the streets to say that they will keep standing with Palestine, they will support Palestine no matter the cost. So Yemenis are united when it comes to Palestine, and we've been living for thousands of years with no problems. Sectarianism is something new for the Yemeni people. It was exported to us by Saudi Arabia, but as I lived, and everyone knows that we've been living together from the north, from Sa'da to Aden, from Al Hudaydah to Hadramaut. We are all one society. We are tied with social bonds. The man from Sana'a can marry a woman from the south. The man from the south can marry a woman from the east. We have no problems when it comes to that. So this was, I believe, this ideological issue was exported to the Yemenis by Saudi Arabia and the US administration to impact the social bonds in Yemen. You know, they could not break the Yemenis. They couldn't do anything to the Yemeni people. Now they're using this new issue. They are trying to impact the Yemeni people. I believe that the love of Palestine is something essential for every Yemeni. We were raised on the love of Palestine since our childhood. I believe when I was, and I remember when I was a child, we were raised on the love of Palestine and Al-Quds. Al-Quds is the most sacred thing in our lives. So I believe that nothing can break the Yemeni people or deter the Yemeni people from supporting Palestine. Any war will be waged against Yemenis, whether by the US or by the neighboring countries who are supported by the US and Israel, will not break the Yemeni people. They will keep standing with Palestine. Now, the blood of the Yemeni people is mixed with the Palestinian people. We are one people, one cause. Yemenis will continue standing with Palestine until victory, inshallah.
And now, for over a decade, Yemen has been under attack from a Saudi-led coalition, causing untold hardship on the country. In fact, until the Gaza genocide, the United Nations actually called Yemen the world's worst humanitarian crisis. 23 million people in Yemen are starving right now. How is the humanitarian situation in Yemen today?
You know, for 10 years, the Saudi-led coalition, which was backed by Washington, was waging a war against Yemen. They have targeted everything. They have destroyed the infrastructure. They've targeted factories, airports, schools, hospitals, houses, roads. Everything was targeted during the 10 years war. And, you know, the United Nations called Yemen the world's worst humanitarian crisis. And the situation was very, very bad and very dire. You know, now, after 10 years, the situation is more dire than ever. Trump's administration pushed the United Nations and all the humanitarian organizations to stop supporting the Yemeni people. They have cut the aid that was provided for Yemenis. You know, I believe that 80% of Yemenis, or maybe more, depend on humanitarian assistance. They don't have even food, which is essential, you know, for the people to keep living, but they don't have it anymore. But, you know, the people here are attempting to do their best to keep living, to do whatever they can do to stand against the Israeli occupation. I believe that the situation now, after 10 years of bombardment and now entering a new phase, which is an Israeli war against the country, now the situation will maybe get worse. You know, Israel has targeted civilians directly, as we mentioned in the previously. They have attacked the civilians. They have attacked Ras Isa port, and it was full of workers, of truck drivers. It was a massive crime. So now Yemenis are entering a new phase of hardships, a new phase of humanitarian crisis. But I believe this will not break the Yemeni people. They managed to survive for 10 years of war, and they will be able, inshallah, to keep surviving the new phase of war.
I think a lot of people are curious to know, what is Yemen's official policy towards countries like Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the UAE, and Egypt, who are actively assisting Israel to circumvent the Yemeni Red Sea blockade during this genocide? I mean, they're even helping Israel and ensuring that Israel receives its shipments of weapons.
Yeah, you know, when Israel launched a war against Gaza, Yemenis did what they can do, did their best, which is imposing a maritime blockade on Israel. But there have been reports that there is a landline from the United Arab Emirates to Saudi Arabia, to Jordan, and then to Israel to provide the Israelis with their essential needs. And I've even heard that they're bringing fresh tomatoes to the Israelis. Maybe I believe that now it's the rule of the peoples, because who is supporting the Israeli regime is the Arab regimes, you know, the regimes, not the people. I believe now it's now the role of the people to stand and say something. I'm not asking them, and we're not urging them to have an armed struggle against the regimes. We're not calling for chaos, just to raise your voices, to say something that this is wrong, what is happening is wrong. Tell your regimes that they can't do this, they can't support the Israeli enemy, they can't elevate the impact of the Yemeni blockade on the Israeli maritime. It's now your turn to raise your voice. We've seen peoples in Europe raising their voices, going to the streets, having protests, they're saying no to the regimes, and they are Europeans, they are not even Muslims. And unfortunately, we are seeing the Muslim world turning a blind eye to the suffering of our people in Gaza.
And we have seen incredible displays of support and solidarity with Palestine across the world, but probably none have been as large or as intense as those in Yemen. It was reported that over 1 million people participated in one march in Sana'a. So why is it that Yemen displays such solidarity with Palestine?
Yeah, you know, every Friday since the beginning of the Israeli war on Gaza, every Friday people have been going to the streets. They go every week, every Friday. Millions of people, not only in the capital Sana'a, but in several cities, they go to express their solidarity with the Palestinian people, to to prove to the world that Yemenis will continue supporting Palestine no matter what's the cost. So, why is that happening? I believe that this happens because the Yemeni people have been alone when they were under war and siege by Saudi Arabia and its allies, which was started in 2015. It was a forgotten war. We've been alone. Yemenis have been alone. They were facing the Saudi war alone. Even the media was turning a blind eye to the suffering of the Yemeni people, and even though it was described by the United Nations that it was the world's worst humanitarian crisis, but no one did anything for the Yemeni people. Now Yemenis feel what the Palestinians now are facing. So they go to the streets. They are trying to prove their support for Palestine with every mean available. They will do anything. They will sacrifice themselves. Yemenis have even expressed their readiness to join the Yemeni army and to go to defend the Palestinian lands, to go and fight the Israeli regime. So I believe that the blood of the Yemeni people is mixed with the Palestinian people. They're one people, one cause, and this will continue until victory, inshallah.
Abdul Latif, thank you so much for being here today. I know it's been a difficult week inside of Yemen with the loss of so many journalists and people and political figures, but we appreciate your time and hope to have you on again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and for this opportunity.